Welcome to Speculative Soapbox, where you hear the pitch straight from the author's mouth.
Welcome to another episode of the Speculative Soapbox. This week we have with us Jacob Martinez, the author of Magma Rain. Jacob, thank you so much for being with us.
That's fantastic to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Jacob, tell us a little bit about your book and why readers should be interested in it.
Well, Magma Rain is about a near future where climate change has become such a problem that Earth has united to create a series of satellites that project an artificial atmosphere around the world. And this atmosphere is supposed to, and it does, help stop climate change, but then things go haywire and it ends up turning asteroids into molten rock, which rains down upon Earth and wreaks havoc with the population.
Cool. So, like, one solution makes a much bigger problem?
Yes, that's right. And readers should buy it because it's very much set in our world. I did a lot of research for this book, and there's plenty of locations in the book which are actual locations on Earth. There's various cities mentioned, various things in cities mentioned that are real places, real landmarks and things like that. There's very few things that I've made up wholesale in the book.
Cool. So you get to see your hometown get destroyed and stuff when you're reading it.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
How'd the book come about? You talked about the research. What kind of research did you do for this?
Well, the book came about, it's been kicking around in my head for a while now, actually, several years, just the idea, but all I had was the idea of this rain that kills you, this magma rain.
Yeah.
And then I had to figure out how could that happen. So the reason it happened came afterwards, and I thought about, what if we created a system of satellites, and in my book, these satellites project these sort of platelet shields that encompass the entire world, and then that's what happens. So then any kind of asteroid or fragment of space debris that hits those just melts instantly. And so a lot of the research I did, believe it or not, was through Google Maps, just looking at the planet, zooming in on places, and figuring things out from there. I just looked at a lot of maps. So that's
cool.
What I did, yeah.
Very cool. So what sort of speculative fiction are you into? Are you reading anything right now?
Yeah, right now I'm reading Firestarter by Stephen King. Stephen King, of course, is known for his horror novels, but I think he's pretty underappreciated as a science fiction author. I think a lot of his books, delve into the speculative or the science fiction, and Firestarter, of course, is one of his early ones. But see, I got it right here. It's a government sort of test gone wrong, and some people are used as lab rats, and then they come out of it with powers that may not be able to be controlled.
Huh.
So,
I've actually never heard of that. I've read a lot of Stephen King, but that particular one I've not come across.
For sure, it's an early one. It's one of his first, and so yeah, it's set in it's sort of the late '70s, but a lot of it is still feels close to home and relevant today.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. So I'm imagining, with Magma Rain being your first novel, it is your first novel, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm imagining you're not writing full-time, as most writers aren't. What do you do to pay the bills?
Right now, I'm finishing up a graduate program. I'm a mental health counselor. Right now, I'm an intern. So once I graduate, I'll get licensed. So I do therapy. I do mental health therapy, yeah.
What license did you go after?
In Texas here, what we're doing, therapists or counselors are called licensed professional counselors. So it's an LPC is what it's called.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I actually work in mental health as well.
Oh, really?
I never wanted to do any kind of counseling, but I ended up getting a master's in essentially what's an MBA for social work, and so I work for a community health agency, and I help people that are frequenting emergency rooms to try to figure out what's going on in their life so they don't need to rely on such an
Sure.
expensive thing so often.
Fantastic. Yeah. So right now I'm working at I'm interning at a nonprofit agency here in San Antonio, which is where I live, where I grew up. And so I work with children right now.
Very cool. Very cool. So for your writing stuff, are you part of a writing group? Do you workshop your material?
No, I've never done anything like that. I have a friend who dabbles in it. He started writing, right around when I did, which was fairly recently. I've been writing for a while. Never too seriously. A lot of short stuff, a lot of short creative writing, some poetry and things like that. But a book was never something that I really wanted to tackle until recently. So I did that, and I have a couple of friends that I show my work to as I'm writing it, and then they give me some feedback, which is very valuable. And so I can see some things that can be changed here and there, and then after it goes through that process, I sort of release it to more and more people.
Cool.
That's the way I work.
Very cool. So you said a book was never something you're aiming to tackle. How did it come about? Was it National Novel Writing Month, or what?
No, I have tried that once, probably 5 years ago, but I didn't really get into it. I just started reading more recently. I had more time to read, and I grew up a very heavy reader. When I was, very young, I was always reading. And then I stopped just when I was a teenager, and stopped, for a long while. I started picking it back up again. I started reading more and more, and I started thinking, I could do this. So it's sort of a hobby of mine, and I enjoy it a lot. It's part of my self-care, or part of my things that I do to relax.
Yeah.
And I have no ideas of this ever becoming my career, really. It's sort of something I'd like to do on the side. While I do, what I really enjoy doing, which is my work in counseling.
Yep. I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know if I could. I mean, it wouldn't be terrible to write full time, but I enjoy human services, social work type stuff. Why would I want to leave that field?
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you do outside of writing?
I do a lot of hanging around, and not much. I'm very active on the internet, Tumblr and Reddit and stuff like that, and I have this sort of digital life, I guess you could say. Don't go outside too much, but I got a lot of time to relax and just be myself, and do things that I enjoy. I've got a close-knit group of friends, but
nothing wrong with that. So do you have any advice for other writers, people that are just getting into their first novel now?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of good information out there on the internet. There's a lot of crap too. So you got to pick and choose which you read. But I mean, I guess the most important thing is you really just gotta do it and be consistent. I hear a lot of talk about setting goals. Goals, I think, are maybe counterproductive. Because sometimes a goal can become too large, and it'll scare you a little bit. So I think if you talk to professional authors, they'll talk about quotas instead of goals. And so they'll do a quota, and it can either be like a time, I write for an hour a day or 2 hours a day or whatever, or an amount. I write this many words a day, this many words a day. And that's a quota. It's not a goal. You meet it. You have to do it, or you don't go to sleep that night. And that's really, for me, the right way to go about things. That worked a lot. Just kicking yourself in the butt a little bit. Of I'm gonna, and for me, I do 1,000 words a day, which is modest, and it takes an hour and a half. For me to do 1,000 words, and it works. And so if you think about a book, and you have an idea of how long it'll be, maybe 60,000 words or so, and you do 1,000 words a day, it'll be finished in 60 days. That's no time at all. And then you can feel accomplished and proud of yourself for doing that work.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I employ a quota as well. 1,000 words a day is actually pretty good, though. I actually just do 500 or an hour, whichever hits first.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's funny how a novel seems like this insurmountable thing, and then you make that requirement each day, do it day after day after day, and eventually it's done, and you're like, oh wow, that wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to
Yeah, exactly.
be. Well, cool. Where can people find Magmarine?
You can get it on Amazon. You just search Amazon for Magmarine, and then you can also get it on BarnesandNoble.com. It's not available in stores too much, but you can get it on there online. There's an ebook version and there's a paperback version. So I hope everyone looks it up and gives it a chance.
I'm sure they'll check it out. It sounds like a really cool book. How can people follow you, Jacob?
I'm on Twitter at JNM. Those are my initials, the letters JNM. And then I have a blog, heathcliff.com. That's my personal blog. Soon to have a professional website coming up soon, but it's not active yet. But those are my two main places.
Cool. Well, if anyone is interested in following me, you can find my writing at my website, which is tjredig.com. I'm at Twitter at tjredigwriter. The podcast website is speculativesoapbox.com, and the Twitter is at speculativesoap because I couldn't fit it all into one Twitter name. Jacob, thank you so much for being on.
It was fantastic being here. Thank you very much.
Yep.